Welcome to Exploring the Paranormal. Hosted by Heather Leigh, PhD, Exploring the Paranormal offers a new, fresh look into paranormal research. Join Heather as she discusses some of the many haunted locations worldwide, discusses why these locations are haunted, hear from paranormal researchers about their personal experiences at these locations. Additionally, Heather takes a journey into the science behind the paranormal, discussing topics such as thermodynamics and the Heisenberg principle and how they both affect paranormal activity. Now, your host of Exploring the Paranormal, Dr. Heather Leigh.
Good morning, everyone. I am super excited to be here this Tuesday morning with you all. I am super excited. My guest later on today, he will be joining us in about 30 minutes. RezNeck, amazing guy. Looking forward to chatting with him and learning more about his paranormal experiences and what he does in the field. And a little side note is he's a tattoo artist, so I have tons of questions for him on that as well. But before we get started, I do want to do a quick shout out. I've just gotten a new sponsor for my show. It's Omni Interactions, and this is the company where you can work from home and get your life back. Perfect for a paranormal researcher. The company works, all employees are 100% remote. They're looking for US-based customer service representatives to support their Fortune 500 clients. Like I said, it's an amazing company. I will be sharing more information about them throughout the show. But if you want to learn more about them, you can visit my page probably tomorrow because it's not up there yet, heatherleighphd.com under Exploring the Paranormal tab. Or you can go to getgig.life/paranormal and get all the information there and apply for a position as well. But like I said, we'll talk more about them later, and I will show you guys exactly why they are the perfect company for a paranormal researcher looking to spend more time in the field. But until then, for those of you who are new joining the show, my name is Dr. Heather Leigh. I have a PhD in paranormal science from the from the Institute of Metaphysical and Humanistic Studies. I've been a researcher for more than 30 years. Leading up to what I do now, I kind of was behind the scenes. I did a lot of background work, research, helped a lot of different tour companies do their research, and just like I said, I was behind the scenes. So I really wasn't out and exposed, but now you guys, you have me hosting this show, as well as now I'm an author, lecturer. I continue to do paranormal research, and I also do educational classes and teach new paranormal investigators what to do and what to expect from the field. Also, for those of you who are new again, or those of you who might have missed the previous show, Haunted Southern Nevada Ghost Towns has been available for about 6 months now. It is on the History Press, Arcadia Publishing. You can find it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walgreens out in Vegas has them, or you can just do a random search, Haunted Southern Nevada Ghost Towns by Heather Leigh, PhD, and you'll find a whole bunch of different locations. I've also been told, a friend of mine in Texas, he went to his local bookstore and ordered it. So you can do that. Ghosts of the Vegas Valley. I have been waiting forever for this one to come out. I'm super excited. Here is the book. This one actually releases Monday. You can pre-order it at Arcadia Publishing, or you can pre-order it on Amazon. I think is now taking orders, as well as Monday. You can find it at your local Walgreens stores. I think Target and Walmart in Vegas will also be having them, as well as the local Barnes & Noble stores in the Henderson and Vegas area. And one thing real quick, before I continue, this book was a lot of fun to write. Not only did I live out in the Vegas area, but this covers all the mob hits, different, the history of Las Vegas. You talk about the spirits of Bugsy Siegel, different gambling ghosts that you've come across. And of course, as anyone knows, Las Vegas is full of tragedy. So there's a lot of things that happen that continues to fuel paranormal activity, that has put an imprint on it. The one thing I wish is that I had when Lake Mead, you guys know, is all, losing water and all these bodies are showing up. This book was finished before all of that happened. And one of the bodies that they had uncovered in the lake is actually a story in here from Circus Circus about a missing person who was thought to have believed to have been part of a mob hit. And it was interesting enough that body was found in Lake Mead in one of the barrels. And I just wish they had found it, or my deadline was longer, because I would have included that in the book. So it's very interesting. So if you love mob stories, historical stories, and my friend Sean Whittington, Reverend Sean Whittington, he's an amazing guy. He is an exorcist out in Vegas. I referred to him several times, and his humor truly does come out in the foreword that he wrote. So quick shout out to Reverend Sean Whittington. I love you, buddy. Thank you for writing that. And I'm super excited to start sharing this book with everybody on Monday. So moving on real quick, a few other things. I hate to take up too much time talking about all the things that I have planned, but I want to make sure that you guys are all knowing what's going on. Later this month, I'm finishing Haunted Florida Lighthouses. And that one, I'm actually going to do a whole show. I have a friend who does a lot of investigating here in Florida. He's also a sheriff's deputy. We're just trying to find a date that he can come on the show. And he's investigated several of the lighthouses here in Florida. So we're going to discuss back and forth. And then other books that I'm working on later this year, hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, is Haunted Florida Ghost Towns. Trust me, there are more than 600 Florida ghost towns. So I found that very interesting. And then also Haunted Nevada Mines is on the back burner right now, but I'm hoping to revive that one. For those of you who know, I also host a show every other Wednesday night. My producer Todd was on it last week. Our next show will be on February 15th. And I will be joined by the haunted librarian, Lisa. She is going to be doing a full presentation on true crime hauntings and how crime and such things as murder can fuel paranormal activity and also create psychic imprints on the environment. I wish I had more information on it, but we've put it on hold just a little bit. But Witches Paranormal Society is getting to relaunch again. My friend Marissa, who's known as the Sin City Witch, she's going to be on the show as well later this year. We are working together. It's something we started when I lived in Vegas, but we wanted to create a global network of a place where witches or anyone who's curious can learn more about the paranormal. And we want to train the next generation of witches to do paranormal research properly, because there's so many, you guys know, and that's something that we'll talk about in just a minute, because I have a question in my mailbag, and we'll talk about that shortly. So, but we want to make sure that everybody's getting the right information and learning old pagan techniques for paranormal research. It's not all about the technology. There are a lot of old-fashioned ways that you guys can conduct paranormal investigations. Also, Real Haunts 3 came out a couple weeks ago. It is available on Prime Video for $4.99, and I was just told it is free on Tubi for a limited time. So make sure you go check that out. Motion Picture Video followed my husband, my son, and I to Goldfield, Nevada. We are featured in that documentary, as well as 4 other paranormal teams, including an investigation at the St. Augustine Lighthouse and a couple other locations across the country. So that is an interesting documentary, and you guys might want to check that out to see some interesting locations across the country. Okay, as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm here to answer questions. It doesn't have to be on topic. It could be anything about the paranormal field, and we will get started with the mailbag. If you guys have any questions, even if the show's not on the air at the time, you can send me an email. It's at heather.lee73@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Exploring the Paranormal Show and send your question there. This question came in the other day, and it's a question I get a lot, and it's interesting. But it's Heather, I'm new to the field and I'm quickly learning that I need a mentor. There's so much to learn and so much to do. How do you recommend I find one? And this question is something, like I said, comes up a lot. And finding a mentor in any field, you want to make sure that not only do you get along with the person, but you also want to make sure that that person is legit. They know what they're talking about. They're honest, and they're, on the level with what they do. There are so many paranormal teams out there that I don't really want to say they fake evidence, but they want evidence so badly that they'll search any way possible. I've always said that no evidence during an investigation is a good thing, especially if you're helping a client, because it tells the client that there's really nothing to be afraid of. On the other hand, if you get evidence, you want to make sure that it's true evidence, and you want to sit down. You want to know how to analyze EVPs. You want to know how to properly look at photos. You want to know what tools to use, and not only just what tools to use, but how to use them properly. And if you find someone who's in the field that is just kind of winging it, doesn't really know the purpose, I'm just throwing it out there because it's the first thing that came to mind, even though it's one of the easiest tools to use, who doesn't know how to use a K2 meter or how to use it properly, or even what a K2 meter is used for, you're not going to learn the right way. You want to make sure, and I know it's hard because when you're just starting out, you don't know who's, doing it the right way. So the best way to do it is I always suggest, you don't really want to stick to watching paranormal TV, even though that is a great place to get information. You just got to keep in mind that that is for entertainment. So you kind of got to weed through the entertainment value and dig down to the true science behind their investigations. You want to also reach out to different, local paranormal teams. But when you're joining those teams, you want to make sure that they're willing to teach you. They're not being secretive. They're not charging you a hefty fee to be a member of their team. I know some teams do charge fees, and that's perfectly fine because you got to pay for, equipment rental, transportation, and whatnot. So that's perfectly fine if they do it. But some, you don't want to have to pay a couple $100s a month just to be a member of a team. Anywhere from $5 to $25 is enough, as long as you can see proof that the money is going back to the team and not just to the founder. You want to also, ask around. Once you get in the field, you can start asking around. I mean, even if it's not a local team, or let's say you're local with your team, but let's say we were to reach out to me and your team is in Texas. I know a lot of people. I know a lot. I mean, I hear a lot of the things about the teams that are not worth joining. So I would know. And if not, I know a lot of people in Texas that I could reach out to and ask. You want to network and ask around. And then the other way to find a team is, I don't really want to say that going to YouTube and finding someone who is constantly doing shows right after left. You want to make sure that they're doing some educational shows. They're explaining why they're using the equipment. And it's, there's a lot that you can do. And I don't really want to say to cover your butt, but there's a lot you can do to make sure that you found the right mentor. And just ask around. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If let's say you joined a team and you asked a question and they acted aggravated at you for asking the question, that might not be the team for you. You want to the other thing too is you want to make sure that the team analyzes their evidence and shares it with each other. That's the one problem I ran into. I had seen a team that they would do investigations, including client investigations, and a couple members of the team didn't even review their digital voice recorders. And if they did, they waited until the very last minute to where they were rushed and there wasn't time. So if you're rushed, just when you're doing EVPs or any type of evidence analyzation, if you're rushed, you're either going to miss evidence or you're going to interpret things that you think are evidence, but they really aren't. Without having the time to go back and either, I don't really like the term debunk, but go back and, debunk it and try to figure out. It's just you don't have time to properly analyze it. So you want to make sure they're doing that and that they're sharing with you. You're never going to learn what an EVP sounds like if someone doesn't share with you an EVP they captured. And it's more memorable and more educational if you can hear an EVP that was captured on an investigation that you were there. I mean, I could play an EVP that I have. We were at a location and it was just something we were doing. It was where we did our training at. And we got an EVP of a little boy saying, "Help me." If I were to share that with someone who either wasn't in the room or wasn't even there, it would be interesting and nice to hear, but it meant more knowing that we were there, that we knew what was going on. We knew what the other investigators were doing. And it just kind of was more interesting to hear knowing, like I said, knowing that we were there. It meant a lot more than if it was just sharing an EVP with a stranger. Don't get me wrong, EVPs are always fun to listen to. And I still get chills when I listen to some EVPs from people, but it means more. It's no different than taking a photo while you're on a vacation. And if you share the photo with other people, it's a really nice photo. They were glad you went on vacation. They're glad you had that experience, but they didn't have that experience with you. So that photo doesn't mean as much to them as it does to you. I hope that makes sense. And, but when you're looking for paranormal researchers to join, like I said, just ask around. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to do the research on your own. Like I shared at the beginning of the show, I spent many, 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 many years researching on my own. Long before we had computers, long before we had the internet, spent a lot of time at the library, spent a lot of time going on ghost tours and asking questions. And I've encountered ghost tours who are run by some of the best people in the field. And I've gone on ghost tours and it's like, I cannot believe that they're hosting this tour. So you're going to always run into that. And I view it as you're going to get that in any field that you work in. It's like customer service. I was in customer service for years. You're going to have the best of the best, the people to look up to, the people who you want to learn from when it comes to company procedures, company policies, product descriptions, product quality. And then you're going to have those that just kind of show up to get the paycheck. They're not really there. So in the paranormal field, to compare it like that, you're going to have those that are all in, those who constantly do their research, are constantly sharing their, experiences with others, bringing people in under their wings. And then you're going to have those that kind of just show up because they want the label paranormal investigator, or paranormal researcher or ghost hunter. And a little side note, I personally, it's just my thoughts and feelings. I know we all have different thoughts and feelings, but the term ghost hunter makes me cringe because we don't really hunt ghosts, just like we don't hunt humans. We do research and we investigate and we try to get to know them better. So, I mean, even though I know the term is very popular and I've been called a ghost hunter, for me, it's just not a personal preference, which is why you guys always hear me say paranormal investigator or paranormal researcher. So yeah, it's very, very interesting how, but I know I'm not alone with that because I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. So, I mean, it's, but then again, on the other side, it's, we are going out there and I guess you could say we're hunting because we have all of our equipment. But yeah, like I said, it's just not something that I prefer to talk about or use as a label. But yeah. So if you guys have any questions, we still have a few minutes before our guest joins us. I'm trying to think I actually went through everything I had for show prep already this morning. I can talk about, I know I talked about it on my last show. I'm going to be launching a Patreon. I'm still trying to work out the different tiers and levels because I want to have it set up. I have so many ideas for it. But we are planning on when I get it up, we're going to set it up similar to a book club where those who are Patreon supporters get to join in and see chapters of my books before they get released, have opportunities to win copies of the books ahead of time. We'll be doing Christmas gifts depending on how long you've been a supporter. And also I want to set up a tier where we do guided meditation. And then also I'm thinking on lumping in my shamanic life coaching, because for those of you who don't know, I am a certified shamanic life coach. I do have it set up right now through iMystic University. It's, I think it's only $25 a month where you get support from me to help you out and, develop. And I do it all through crafts, meditation, herbal instruction, oil blends and all of that. So stay tuned for that. I kind of delayed it because I wanted to make sure that I had it perfect for everyone before we launched it. But my husband and I are working on that. So hopefully, actually my son's helping me with that too. So hopefully we get that going very soon and I can let you all know about that, hopefully either on the next show or the show after that. So good morning. Thank you for joining us. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. Real quick, I'm going to, while we wait for the next few minutes for my guest to join, let me just talk about him for a little bit. He is RezNeck. He is an ink therapist and paranormal investigator. I absolutely love that. So definitely, if you guys have any questions about tattoos or the paranormal field, feel free to ask him when he's on. He is the father of 7 and grandfather of 6. And what I found interesting is when I read his bio, I saw his photo first and I just didn't see that he was that old. So I'm going to have to, it's interesting things you don't know about people just from looking at a photo. But he's an enrolled member of the Stockbridge Munsee tribe. He was born and raised in the Chicagoland area and now hails from the Indian Reservation, the Stockbridge Munsee Indian Reservation. He spends his days running his small business, and at nights he does ink therapy and studies all things paranormal. He's trying to better understand and control his gifts, and over the years he's experienced paranormal activity on several occasions, including living in a haunted house as a child, seeing shadow people at church, and his most experience of the passing of his next door neighbor. An interesting fact about him is he is a tattoo artist, and that is, I do definitely have a lot of questions for him on that one. It's one of those where it's a shame he lives so far away, because I'm actually looking for a tattoo artist. His most memorable encounter, and he says he remembers this as of yesterday, so I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm going to be asking him about his encounter. But he had said that just as somebody had dropped him off in the middle, or he was relaxing watching TV, and out of nowhere he was frozen to the bone as if someone had dropped him in the middle of a giant ice block. He remembers being frustrated and jumped out of his skin. So basically, I'm going to leave that there as kind of a little cliffhanger to see what he has to say about that. But it's very interesting, and looking forward to him talking about that experience. So again, I am glad you guys are all here, and I am happy. I'm happy to have you guys here, and I am so looking forward to what the show has coming forward. And if, like I said, if you guys have any questions, even though I don't have time to do one-on-one mentoring, because going back to the mentoring, I am always here to answer questions. You can either pop on the show and ask questions. You can go to Exploring the Paranormal Show on Facebook, or even Dr. Heather Leigh on Facebook. I have a website, heatherleighphd.com, where you can find all the blogs I've written. There's several. I'm actually in the process of moving my blogs over from Blogger to my website now. So you guys will, I think I have it set, because I'm also editing and updating them. So it's taking me a little bit longer than I expected, but I have it set to publish one a day. And I think I'm already all the way through March. So it's nice. You guys are going to have everything from the blogs that I write. I just write whatever comes to mind, and you have everything from, herbal magic remedies, not remedies, but herbal bath bags and all of that. You have 13 EVP questions to ask during X, Y, and Z. And basically what that is it's 13 EVP questions to ask when you're investigating a cemetery. Then the next one is when you're investigating a haunted hotel. So it's kind of interesting there. 13 out of the box EVP questions to ask. I discuss a lot of, I call it my ghost town adventures, I think is what they were called. And I talk about, that one's based off of my last book. And I talk about all the different locations and include several photos from the investigations and the documentary that we filmed, Real Haunts Ghost Towns. And it's just an interesting place. And then I also talk about different things like fear of dolls, where that comes from, the top 10 most haunted objects in the world, 10 haunted locations in Florida, or the top 10, haunted locations in Chicago. A lot of interesting things there. It's one of those that might not be of interest to you, but I have fun writing it, and that's my way of sharing my experiences. And if you guys are out there and you have years of experience, the one thing I need to share with you is, if someone is looking for a mentor, don't shun them away. The one thing I absolutely hate is I knew someone, and I've even encountered it, but not as abrupt as this. At least my person was polite about it, but someone had reached out to someone who had written a book. Actually, I think they've written several books, and asked a whole bunch of questions, and they were chit-chatting back and forth. But then they had asked a question that I guess was covered in a book. And the person said, well, if you want to know more about that, buy my book. And when I heard that, I just cringed. It's like, why can't you just share your knowledge? If you share the little bit of knowledge you have, the chances, if you've written a book, the chances of that person wanting to buy your book and read more, it is greater, because they're interested in you. They're interested in your stories. So don't shoo people away. Take the time to, you don't really have to take them under your wing, but at least take the time to talk to them, point them in the right direction, help them if they're doing it wrong. You can also recommend, like right now, I have my paranormal team, and we don't really accept anybody new to the group because it's just the three of us. But I know groups in Florida that I could point someone to that would be reputable. So don't hoard your evidence. Don't hoard your knowledge. It's one thing. I know another term that I have trouble with is paraunity. And it's mostly because everybody has a different definition of paraunity. So my definition of paraunity is that once you've vetted a team or an investigator or researcher or ghost hunter, then it's okay. You should support them. You should share your evidence with them. They should share their evidence with you. We need to work together in this field. But a lot of people I've come across, they've actually ruined the term for me. They think the term paraunity means you need to support me because I'm a paranormal investigator. And for me, it's no, I really don't. I support you in the aspect of once you show me, you know what you're doing. It's just because you're a paranormal investigator or you have a team or you have a YouTube show, it doesn't mean that I automatically have to jump on board and support you. I'm going to support you once you show me that you're desirable of my support. Once you show me that you don't fake evidence, once you show that you're willing to teach others and that you're not just in it for selfish reasons, because a lot of the people that I've encountered that promote paraunity, that promote it in the wrong way, they use it as if you don't support me, then I'm going to badmouth you. And they don't give you any chance to understand more why you need to support them. So, and with that said, I am going to look at my notes real quick, and we are getting close to coming up on a commercial break, and my guest should be joining us on the other side of that commercial break. So we are about to take that break, and when we return, I will be joined with my guest, RezNeck, for an open discussion about all of his experiences and the paranormal field. So make sure you get your questions ready, and you are here to join us when he comes on. But before we go, don't forget to check out my new sponsor, Omni Interactions, where you can work from home full or part-time at hours that are convenient to your own schedule. And when I say that, trust me, you can work at your own convenience. Working with Omni allows you to create your own schedule in 30-minute or 1-hour blocks. You get to go in and pick and choose how long you want to work, when you want to work. If you want to work an hour in the morning before the kids wake up, you can work an hour in the morning. And if you want to work an hour in the afternoon or evening, you can do that as well. It's finally an employer who allows you to get your life back. And for more information on that, you can find them tomorrow on my website at heatherleighphd.com. And they should be sending me a video. So hopefully we get that video up there as well. And then also you can go to their website, getgig.life/paranormal. And when you talk to them, make sure you let them know that Dr. Heather Leigh from Exploring the Paranormal sent you. And I am so excited. Sorry, I was reading the comments or the private chat. So my guest has not arrived yet, but we are still going to take a quick break, and hopefully he will be here by the time we come back. If not, I will continue talking as I always do, hopefully giving you guys the information and advice that you need about the paranormal field. So we will be back in just one moment.
Looking for a holistic solution? Look no further than LimestreetWellness.com. Lime Street Wellness is a full-service Reiki therapy center offering in-person and distant Reiki sessions. Additionally, Lime Street Wellness is committed to helping clients co-create healthier outcomes with hypnosis, QHHT, and intuitive advice. Lime Street Wellness is committed to helping all that are seeking to co-create better health, peace of mind, and greater freedom. Reiki Master Kevin Mackey uses energy medicine, hypnosis, mindfulness, and intuitive guidance to assist in uncovering, understanding, and removing any blocks or energy cords or mental mindsets that may be intruding and causing needless suffering. Visit Lime Street Wellness today at limestreetwellness.com. That's limestreetwellness.com.
Excuse me. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Exploring the Paranormal. My guest is a little late, so we are going to chat for just a little bit while we wait for him to join us. But if you guys, like I say during every show, even though I have an outline and a sort of a plan, sometimes, not all the time, it's one of those things where it's just kind of a guidance. So if you guys ever have any questions or you want to talk about anything during the show, feel free to ask. I'm always open. And if there's anything I have to say that can wait, I'll save it for the next show. So yeah, if you guys, again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And while we're waiting for my guy, I'm trying to think of topics. If you guys knew what my brain looked like on the inside, you guys would kind of laugh at me because it's going 100 miles an hour. I'm trying to think of the meme that someone referred to it as. Someone referred my brain as to having a whole bunch of windows open on the computer at one time. And that's truly, truly how I feel. So it's like trying to sort through all the different topics that I want to talk about. But I am just super excited, you guys. This year is going to be absolutely amazing, as you can tell. So many things planned. I'm working with my agent as well, and we're going to be doing a college lecture series, as well as I've partnered with Flumeri Promotions to do a series of events with them. And now that I'm almost fully recovered from my knee surgery, you guys will be seeing a lot more of me out there. And I've also, just to remind him, I've also floated a few ideas to Todd, who's the producer of WLTK-DB radio. So hopefully he can get some of those going as well. And you guys, this is, all around for the paranormal field, this is going to be an amazing year. I've seen a lot of reputable people share amazing events that they're doing. I know there's one group out there doing events for wounded warriors, and then also first responder events where they're setting up paranormal events and offering it to first responders for free to experience the paranormal field. So a lot of fun and exciting things happening in this field, and it is just absolutely there. Personally, even though I know, since we were talking about newcomers, even though it is one of those things where it is challenging having so many newcomers because everybody wants to be in the paranormal field right now, it's still a great time to be in this field. And whether you're a full-time researcher, a part-time do-it-when-I-can person, or a hobbyist, or paranormal tourist is what a lot of people refer to them as, this is a great time to be in the field. There are a lot of interesting events. A lot of new things are happening in the field. So many new experiments that I see teams doing that is absolutely amazing. I know I'm working on several experiments as well, and it's just very, very interesting time. So I hope you guys are all excited to be in the field. And if you're joining us, please, please, please say hi. Let us know that you're here. I want to make sure that we say hi to you. I know I saw, and I pronounce your name wrong every time, so I'm sure I'm going to pronounce it wrong again. But One, thank you for joining us. If I butchered that, I am so sorry. So, Ane. Thank you, Todd. And hello, Courtney. I just saw you jump on. Like I had mentioned, if you guys have any questions, sorry to be looking down, but I'm actually going to be emailing my guest real quick to see where he is at, because I was actually really looking forward to talking to him today. And pronounce Ada. Yeah, thank you. I'm actually going to remember that now. It's one of those things where whenever I get corrected, I always remember once I'm corrected. But thank you all for joining us. And like I said, I'm just doing something real quick here to try to get him to join us, because I planned enough time to do talks around him joining us, but I didn't plan enough time to cover 2 full hours. So if he's not joining us, Todd and I are going to be stuck trying to figure out what we're doing. Hold on one second. It would help if I typed his name right. So anyway, after I get done with this, I am going to talk a little bit more about the new book that I'm working on, which is Haunted Florida Lighthouses. It was due actually in December. Luckily, with my knee surgery, okay. So they gave me an extension, so I'm actually doing stuff right now with that. And what I am super excited about that book is, for those of you who don't know, I did just recently move to Florida. That's why you see the 2 books that I wrote about Nevada, and now I'm switching to Florida. Absolutely amazing lighthouses. I'm discovering, I used to live here beforehand, so I already had a lot of the research done, which is why we chose that topic. You have the Key West Lighthouse, Pensacola Lighthouse. There's a lot of lighthouses that aren't the type that you can climb up to. They're just the metal structure with the light at the top. And then you, of course, have your lighthouse keeper's home. And those are also included in the book. They are just haunted as anywhere else because Florida, people don't realize Florida had a lot of, I don't really want to say devastation and destruction, but it experienced a lot of things. Of course, you have the hurricanes. And back in the day, there was no notice that a hurricane was coming. You had, the local Indian tribes and the conflicts with the new settlers. You had parts of the Civil War were fought here, especially with the Navy. And there were lighthouses that were affected drastically by Civil War, whether it was, if it was, a lot of lighthouses were occupied by Northern troops. And then you had the Southern Confederate soldiers. And it was one of those things where it was constantly, if the lighthouses would change hands. So you would have this lighthouse was, occupied by Union troops and then attacked by Confederate soldiers, and the Confederate took over. So it was a lot of back and forth battles on these lands. A lot of St. Augustine Lighthouse, for example, that chapter of the book is the longest because there was so much there. And I also had help from my co-host of Ghost Ed, Philip Wyatt. He visits there quite often. So he shared a lot of his photos and his experiences. And you have everything from the 2 daughters that died playing in a rail car. You have the spirit that looks over the railing at you. You hear footsteps going up the stairs. I'm trying to think, the lighthouse keeper's home is extremely haunted. The museum down in the basement, a lot of activity happens down there. Very, very interesting lighthouse, and it's just beautiful, beautiful views. The Jupiter Lighthouse also has several paranormal accounts. We do have one, I want to say it was the Pensacola Lighthouse, and that one, it was a female who was the lighthouse, and her husband stayed with her. And she was more, the urban legend behind that one is she was more in love with the lighthouse than her husband, and he was getting in the way of her taking care of the lighthouse, and she murdered him. Even though there are reports that he died naturally, the legend is that she murdered him, and his body still lingers as well as, or his spirit still lingers as well as hers lingers, and, while she still watches over the lighthouse. There's a my goodness, I wish I could remember off the top of my head because there's so many. There's one lighthouse where there's a headless woman who is searching for her head because her head was chopped off by a pirate on the shores near the lighthouse. And rumor had it, or legend had it, that he carried that head with him everywhere he went, and up until his death. And that's when they found it. So it's that, and that's what I love about the paranormal field is there are so many urban legends that, yes, once you do your research and dig in a little bit deeper, you're going to find out some of these legends are true. Some of them are 100% completely false. And that's where I, get back into make sure that whoever you're hearing these stories from, it is, legitimate. Like when you go on a ghost tour, you want to make sure that the paranormal team running the tour is legitimate enough that they're going to not make up stories. Of course, some of the stories they share might not be true because that's the only information that's out there about the location as far as paranormal activity. But these they're not making it up. Like, they're not going out and, you know, oh, the crowd looks like they need an interesting fact, and I'm just going to pull this one out of my rear end and say that, you know, in 1867, you know, Captain, you know, James Cook came here, when it's like he never was there. You just kind of want to make sure that they're not known for making stuff up on the whim. You want to make sure that they've done their research as best as they can. And any historical research, as you guys are going to know, is going to change and vary and everything like that. Okay. And real quick, before, I've just gotten notification that my guest has arrived. But before we do that, I wanted to finish one more thing about the Florida Lighthouse book. It is one thing I found interesting is there's 2 lighthouses. One that is one of the most haunted lighthouses, including Confederate soldiers are seen nearby, pirates, is in Johns Pass. It's a faux lighthouse. It's never been operational. It's just a decoration. And it's interesting how that one is haunted. And yes, I've included it. And then the other lighthouse I've included is in Mount Dora, Florida. And for those of you who are familiar with Florida, Mount Dora is just north of Orlando, smack dab in the center of the state. It's on a cute little lake, not really a big lake, but just a cute little lake. And there are a lot of paranormal events that occur around that lighthouse. And there's actually a paranormal team up there that offers ghost tours. And I love how they do the ghost tours because they get all dressed up in period clothing. And lots and lots of stories of paranormal activity that occur around that lighthouse. And it's not even your typical, I mean, it works and it's, you know, a typical lighthouse, but it's not what you think of as a typical lighthouse being out on the ocean protecting the shores. So there's lots and lots of interesting things. And just think outside of the box when you do your research. I mean, who would have thought Florida had ghost towns? And that's the next book I'm working on. So with that said, I am going to welcome my guest, RezNeck. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry about the little delay in time there. Thinking 10 o'clock my time, not yours.
No problem. That's why I always put Eastern in, but I've had people do that before. I've even had someone I was interviewing in Egypt once think it was 7 o'clock p.m. his time.
Oh, boy.
And he's messaging me, are we doing this interview today? But yeah, no, it's okay. So again, thank you for taking time out and joining me today. I am super excited to have you here for several reasons. One, the tattoo artist. Oh my goodness. I know it's not paranormal, but what got you into that?
Actually, years ago, I had a brother of mine that kind of went off did some bad things. So he went away for a while and came home and seen my artwork on the wall and goes, hey, you can draw, you can tattoo. And next thing you know, 20 minutes later, he's bringing me down what they call a jailhouse gun and go, you're going to put something on me. And it kind of started with that. And after doing that for a while, I searched for a mentor to kind of teach me the proper ways. And it took a lot of years to a point where finally I said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to step out on my own. And I started watching more videos, doing more research on it, and pretty much self-teaching myself how to do it, along with the guidance from different retired artists that, couldn't do it anymore. So.
Right. And that's almost kind of like the paranormal field where, of course, you're going to go find your mentors, but you're going to do the research and do everything on your own. So it's like they go hand in hand and perfect to work together.
Yep.
Yeah. And real quick, I know in your bio it said ink therapy. Can you just kind of explain a little bit more on what that is?
Well, a lot of people that come to me are former cutters, or those that, suffer from depression or bipolar. And with getting a tattoo, the endorphins that are released, it helps them. Not to mention that while you're sitting in my chair, you have a tendency to talk, and I can relate to a lot of them with their issues. Mm-hmm. And I can tell them about my life experiences, how I handled certain things, and give them another basic perspective and way things to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually a new field you could create there and become a psychiatrist while you're...
Some days I feel like it, honestly, but I've lived a full life and I've experienced a lot of different things. So a lot of different issues people come to me with and talk to me about, If I personally don't know anything about it or I haven't experienced myself, chances are I know somebody that has and who has lived through it. So I can say, hey, well, I haven't done this. I don't really understand, but like my sister, she went through this. This is what she did. Here's an option for you.
Right. And that's just perfect. Helping everybody out and, being open, and the fact that you're easy to talk to, I'm sure helps as well, and,
Yep.
You have a captured audience. They're stuck in your chair if they want the tattoo completed.
Right. And like I tell everyone, it's more about the experience than it is the artwork. The artwork's basically just a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the purpose of the show is, can you just share with everybody what got you interested in the paranormal field?
I grew up in a spiritualist church. Both my parents were ministers. So from a young age, I knew about the spirit world. Oh, hold on one second here.
No problem.
Sorry about that. That was my alarm for you to jump on early. So, yeah. But yeah, growing up in the spiritualist religion, knowing about the spirit world and everything else, from a young age, I've always been interested into it. And when it came time after watching these shows for years and kind of just shaking my head at some of the guys on there going, I want to join a team. I want to, reach out to this. And, it's something I enjoy. It's a passion of mine. And that's why I stepped up and contacted Barnaby over at CAPS, because I'd known him for a long time. I figured if I was going to join a team, I might as well join someone that I know, that I can trust, that's going to take it seriously. It's not just a joke and a show to them.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talk about that, because the whole first half of my show, I had talked about how to find a reputable team to join. So it's interesting how it all falls hand in hand.
Yep. Hey, that's spirit working with us.
Exactly. And I know I had started talking a little bit about your first experience, but I wanted to, or your most memorable experience, I wanted to leave that up to you so that way you could share the passion behind the experience with the audience.
Yeah, well, I've had plenty of experiences, but the one that's on my bio, I was sitting here in bed one night. Actually, it was the afternoon, to be honest with you, and watching some wrestling, doing what guys do. And ended up getting a cold chill, like someone dropped me right into the middle of Lake Michigan in the middle of wintertime. And I jumped up and I said, basically, get the F off me. And all of a sudden, I was back to normal temperature. And that kind of took me out for a minute. And I got up to go in the kitchen to grab a soda. And I look outside, and my neighbors are all outside in the driveway crying. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And here to find out, my neighbor had just passed away minutes prior, which lines up with the timeline on when I had got that frozen chill. And I kind of took it as, me being pretty much the brightest light around, because I do vibrate a little bit higher than a lot of other people. And being open to the spirit world, he kind of came over saying, hey, keep an eye on them for me, And that's it. Really, it was such a bone chilling cold that it was one of the strongest that I've ever had.
Yeah, that's giving me goosebumps right now. So I'm like completely just lost my train of thought there, because I was so into your story. You are a member of the Stockbridge Munsee tribe.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Last of the Mohicans.
I know most tribes like that are very open to spiritual, at least the people I've talked to, spiritual activity. What is the consensus where you're at right now regarding paranormal activity and spiritual guidance?
It's pretty much open. There's been times over the years where I've had other tribal members, friends of mine, actually call me in and say, well, we've been seeing a shadow here, or we've been seeing this there, and ask me basically to come in with medicine and smudge the house, and basically cleanse, clear, and help those that are there to kind of move on.
Okay. And when it comes to investigating, I know one of the hurdles that I have to get over is because I practice old world pagan rituals, is people accepting what I do.
Right.
How do you feel clients feel about you being a part of the team?
Haven't had any issues as far as I know. It's never been brought to my attention. I come in with an open mind, and I come in to basically help as much as I can, along with observe and document.
And that's really good, because I know I've encountered so many things from, I mean, it was one of those, I kept it to myself just because that's how I was raised. It's like, people, especially I was raised in a very Catholic community. So
Okay.
It was one of those things where, I didn't tell members of my team, but the founder of the team knew. And there was a case that came out where it was the daughter was practicing and dabbling in witchcraft. So he wanted me to lead the investigation. And it once it came out why I was leading the investigation, half the team members didn't speak to me anymore.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, it is. And it's, it's always interesting to find. And I'm glad that you haven't had any encounters like that. But I think being in the area you're in, they're probably more open to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of native areas up in Wisconsin here, a lot of reservations. And it seems like, over the years, a lot of people have taken more to the acceptance of the native culture. Mm-hmm. So it's a shame what happened to you. We all bring our tricks and tools to the table, and we have to be able to use them and be accepted for them.
Right. And I always tell people, it's like, even though I was originally started being raised as Roman Catholic, I wouldn't go into a Roman Catholic home and, with a pendulum and, and crystals, I would want someone who is still of that faith to go in and help. I will be there to help, but I would want someone leading it that would be able, just like I wouldn't expect a Catholic priest to come in and do an exorcism in my home. That's just not going to work.
No, and with me, I try blending a lot of the tools I've learned through spiritualism, along with the tools I've learned from, and the walk that thin line there. Sometimes it can be tough, but in the long run, it helps those that are there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the whole purpose that we're here is, I mean, I know right now my main purpose is to help grow the field. But we're also here to help, and to grow the field is to make people not be afraid.
Exactly. They got to realize there's really nothing to fear out there except for fear itself. Right. And mostly spirits out there just looking for acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. Some of them might have been wronged in life and they want their story told. Others are just saying, hey, I'm still here. I'm still looking over you.
Yeah. The only time I get not really afraid, it's more of the startle factor. It's when you turn around and there's someone standing there that shouldn't be there.
Right. Yeah. The shock factor.
Right. It's like, wait, you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So what kind of tools do you use? I mean, I'm more, I like the non-tech tools, dowsing rods, pendulums. I use a whole bunch of different things that are non-tech. So what kind of tools do you prefer to use?
The biggest thing with me is myself being sensitive and everything. A lot of times I feel them. I can feel energies, feel different things. Of course, being like any other RezNeck, I like things that flash and glow and light up. So a lot of the stuff like that I like to use. I've been using them specter balls a lot lately. Mm-hmm. Put me in somewhere dark, give me a couple of them, maybe a REM pod and my digital recorder, and I'm good to go for a night. Mm-hmm. Very simple.
Yep. Yeah. What you need to try doing, I don't know if you've heard any of my previous shows, but I use fidget spinners.
Okay.
And I ordered fidget spinners that light up. All
right. That's a good idea.
And they're a lot of fun. I mean, you could tell the spirit, spin the green one for yes, the red one for no. Or, if you're here, spin the blue one over there.
Nice. I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah. I think it was like $12 for 6 of them. But you can get the standard ones, fairly cheap. But I went high tech with my fidget spinners.
Got to do what you got to do.
Right, and I like it because you can set them up in a hallway and put a camera on them, and let them go.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ane wants to know, when can I get some ink work?
Contact me on Facebook, RezNeck Inc. or RezNeckInc@gmail.com, and we'll put something together. Sorry,
and it's Ane. I promised her I would pronounce it correctly the second time I said it, but
yeah. Now, is that Ane from the station here?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, hey, honey, I sent you an email last week about one of our readings that you gave me. So hit me up.
And that's what I love about this station is we all support each other, and we're all here, and it's great.
Oh yeah, I promote the station at work. I work in a gas station. Or I'm on second shift, so a lot of times everyone's shows I might not catch them live, but they're playing in the background, and I catch when I can. And customers coming out, what are you listening to today? I'm like, well, here, check this out.
Right, exactly. And I have it playing in the background, and half the time, like you said, I don't even really pay close attention to it because we're busy with our daily lives. But it's I guess I would say the hits from people listening to it.
Yep, there's things that just pop out and resonate with you. You don't even have to be listening 100%, but all of a sudden you hear something, you perk right up, and you go, hey, that makes sense.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I could just see you doing a tattoo and be like, wait, hold on.
Yep. Hey, I've had it happen. Stop. I've got to take a note here. Hold on.
Yeah, you're like me, probably with notebooks everywhere.
I got one right in front of me here, so I don't forget to talk about a few things today.
Yeah, she says, you sent an email. Okay, I'll check it out. Talk to you soon.
Looking forward to it.
So I actually grew up not too far probably from where you're at, up in Woodstock, Illinois.
Okay. Actually, I used to go out to Woodstock quite a bit when I was younger.
Okay.
I'm actually from the Chicagoland area originally.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
I know exactly.
I miss it, but I don't miss the cold air or the snow. I'm in Florida now.
Oh, lovely.
I know we've been in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, we had a heat wave, it warmed up like 60-some degrees overnight.
Yes.
So I was listening to thunderstorms last night and rain coming down with snow still being here.
Yeah, we need rain. We haven't had rain in a while. It's our dry season. But up by where you're at, I know in Woodstock, one of my favorite haunted locations was, of course, the Woodstock Opera House. And then we had legends of the Devil House in Bow Valley. Okay. What are some haunted locations that are your favorites up by where you're at?
I really don't have many favorites. Trying to find time to get out and explore is hard, between investigating with the team and then also doing Bigfoot research and investigations. To get out personally to check out some of these hot spots, it's hard. Mm-hmm. There's a list of places I do want to go. I wouldn't mind checking out like the asylum over in Sheboygan. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things on my bucket list is definitely Old Joliet Prison down in Illinois.
That place is fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've had family actually that's done time there. Mm-hmm. So to hear their stories and to go back and see if I can validate them.
Yeah, that would be interesting because I went to school at Illinois State and we took a drive up there.
Okay.
And it was really, really, really interesting and a lot of fun. And what made it more, I'm a big fan of Prison Break.
Yep.
And
I loved that show when it first came out.
Yeah. And the bald brother, he actually had paranormal experiences in the cell he was in during filming. Okay. So it was
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was interesting to go see where all that happened. So yeah, and a lot of paranormal activity happening there.
Yeah. Another great movie to think about when it comes to that is Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's one of my all-time favorites. So.
Yeah. And going to the places where they filmed that's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, my sister actually used to live right around the corner, and the house is right next to the prison there.
Okay.
Within like a block from the place. So I've seen that place outside for years. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be a good thing and fun thing to get inside. Mm-hmm. Go for a lockdown without the bracelets.
Exactly. A lockdown that you can get out of easily.
Right.
Without having to break out.
Yeah, no prison breaks for me.
Except for that would be an interesting experiment to facilitate a mock breakout, just to see what kind of activity you got.
Oh, I'm sure that would stir some things up.
Yeah.
personally, I want to get, locked down in death row for 24 hours, blindfolded, the whole works, and just see what happens.
Mhm. Yep. I'm sure a lot's going to happen.
You never know. Might happen on one of our episodes.
Right. And it's funny too, because the experiences that people have at locations, you could set up the same exact, and this is something that I talk about a lot with the Heisenberg principle, where the outcome is based upon the viewer. Yep. So you could be in a location and I could be in a location, same setup, same, situation, and your experiences would be far different than mine.
Exactly. A lot of it just bases, like you said, on intent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I go, like I said, I go with an open mind everywhere. Mm-hmm. I want interaction, but I don't demand it. I'm not one saying, oh, I'm going to have interaction. Hey, I'm here. You want to talk? You want to, do something? Let's do it. Mm-hmm. If not, I'm not going to force you.
Right. I tend to find myself just kind of sitting in a corner and I just start talking. I talk about myself, my day, and I just, say I'm here to talk.
Right. And that's a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, it shows that you're not there for, like I was talking earlier, the whole ghost hunter term kind of makes me cringe sometimes because we're not really hunting.
Right.
And if we go in with that hunting mentality, it's going to put the ghosts on, or the spirits on the defensive.
Oh, yeah. That's even like in Bigfoot investigations, the Bigfoot hunters, I don't like using it. I've used it for years. Mm-hmm. I'd rather say, I'm a Bigfoot or a cryptid investigator. Mm-hmm. Just like I'm a paranormal investigator, because, we're not hunting anything.
Right. It's not like you're grabbing your bow and arrow and heading out looking for Bigfoot.
Right. Yeah, I'm not trying to cook them up tonight. I just want to have a meeting with them.
Exactly. And actually, talking about Bigfoot, my son, who is, he was a junior investigator on my team, but he's 19 now. One of his theories about Bigfoot was that he's the ghost of cavemen.
Okay. I can possibly see something along the lines.
Which is why we don't see him I'm referring to him as like one Bigfoot in the entire country.
Right. Well, I think we all do that from time to time.
But yeah, so he says that's why we don't see him all the time.
Yep. I personally have a little bit different theory. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking more along the lines of interdimensional and possibly alien origin.
Yep.
A higher being, due to the fact that, he can change dimensions. Mm-hmm. Also, there has been some stuff, recording, I believe, of telepathy. Mm-hmm. So, and that falls right in line with the whole alien thing, because, they don't talk to you during these so-called abductions. They talk to you in your mind. Mm-hmm. So, and I believe it was one of the books I read, Celestine's Prophecy. They were kind of talking about how to raise your vibrations and do certain things, which actually could lead to the potential possibility of the, disappearing, and of the, basically the talking within each other's heads without even talking.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So talking about raising your vibration levels, what do you do before an investigation to not only make yourself more open to receiving spirit communication and interacting, and also to protect yourself?
Basically, I kind of put like a little circle around myself. I vision the white light around me. I try to clear my mind out from all the day's events and everything that's going on in my life. A little bit of breathing, stuff like that. And basically, when I show up there and I'm ready to go in, I say, hey, I'm here to interact with you. I'm here to observe you, document what I can. But when this is done, you got to stay here or go somewhere else. You can't follow me. Mm-hmm. And I've had, over years, I've had some follow me home. I actually had one follow me home from Bean Snappers, which is where we do our paranormal tours. And it was one of the children. And I let them hang out for a little while. And then I said, hey, you got to go. Either go on to the other side where be with our creator, or go back to, Snappers with everyone else that you've been with all this time.
And when you had, because I've had spirits follow me home as well. When you had a spirit follow you home, was it threatening, or was it just, hey, we like you, we're gonna tag along?
I believe it was more of the tag along, because you catch wisps here and there. You get like they're checking you out, scoping you out. You feel them, but nothing ever harmful. And actually, I've actually had a problem with where over the years I go into different locations, even just out and about in my daily life, and I'll feel things there. And I've said this before, like when me and my wife were house hunting at one point in time, you walk into a house and it's like, it feels like you're chasing them from room to room. They're staying as far away as you can. And you get that negative feeling. And I spoke with someone years ago and they go, well, that's because you're powerful. You can pass them on. They see you as a threat, so they're not going to mess with you. So as far as the negativity, I've never really had an issue with it.
Yeah, I'm on a separate note. I'm horrible house hunting because I'll step foot in the front door. I'll be like, nope.
I've done that. I have.
Don't want to be here.
Yep. Walk in. Not the same for us. Could be a beautiful mansion. Nope, not for us. Sorry.
Exactly. So like my house, it's fully protected because I've actually had a spirit follow me home and almost like he threw his fist in the front door because it made a loud bang because, my house has crystals everywhere and fully protected so nothing negative can follow me in. What do you do in your own home to protect you and your family?
I smudge with sage a lot. Also, a lot of times I'll lay here and kind of just meditate and concentrate. And I'm a white light from myself, which I deem as the creator's white light and circle of protection. And it emits from me and it ends up engulfing the whole house. And by doing this, I've actually seen like things back off into the shadows out into the yards and stuff. Basically positively, being positive and saying, hey, this is our sacred space. You're not welcome here unless you're of God the Father, God the Mother, a loved one that's passed on. That's it. If you're not here for good reasons, you have no reason to be here, and you're not welcome.
Yeah. And I know they're rare because that's the one thing I can't stand is when someone's always everything's a demon. But have you ever encountered any cases that were authentically demonic or just a butthead human that wants to cause trouble?
Not at this time. I haven't crossed any demons. Actually, I've been studying some demonology over the past year. Met a great guy, good friend of mine, Jeremy Leonard, almost a full year ago now, down in Janesville at one of the metaphysical convention, and it sparked an interest in me. So I took his, demonology 101, and I've expanded that since then to doing my own reading and research on it. So just in case someday I do come across one, we have that in the tool bag to help out.
Right. And that's what I love about this field is there's always something new to learn, new experiments to try, and it's continually evolving.
Oh, yeah. Just look the way science has come in the last 50 years. Can you imagine what we're going to be doing next 10 or 20 in this field?
Right, exactly. And that, that's one of my ultimate goals is making this a true science. And yes. I don't want to say weeding out the wannabe ghost hunters, but, making it an actual science. Yeah.
Science, will prove everything, and I believe that someday through science, we'll be able to see a little more into the spirit realm and be able to prove a little more. And we won't be looked at as quacks or nut jobs for what we do.
No.
I have a good friend of mine that calls me Ghostbuster. It's what's listed in his phone, making wisecracks at me. But hey, it's something that I enjoy. It's helping people. So there's so many benefits to what we do.
Yeah, my son calls me a quack. Even though he goes on the investigations with me, he calls me because I'm a little bit more into it than he is.
Right. Yeah. My son, he says he wants to get into it and check it out, but we'll see.
Mhm.
I told him you gotta wait till he gets, at least 18 and go from there.
Yeah, no, my son was curious, and we took him because we did training at just a location that we would go every month, and we'd have our team meetings, and he's like, "Can I come with?" And they let him come, and he was 15, just to
Okay.
test it out because it was a quiet place. It wasn't anything negative, and
Yep.
he fell in love with just the sitting in the dark and asking questions.
Yeah.
But that's as far as he goes.
That must be a teenager thing, because
Yeah.
I remember being a teen doing the same thing.
Yeah, and it's funny now that he's 18 because he never did client investigations with us. That's why my husband joined the team that I created, so that way I wasn't going alone because we weren't taking my son because he wasn't of age yet.
Yeah.
But now that he's 18, he doesn't want to go. He wants to do the fun investigations, as he puts it.
Yeah.
So I label him as a tourist.
It happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, my wife's the type of person who'll sit home and watch all the shows, but when it talks about, joining a team or going out to see some, these haunted locations prior to joining a team, I'll stay home. She's got one of her girlfriends that loves doing that stuff. She goes, yeah, you can take her. I'll wait behind.
So the team you're on right now, you guys do client investigations?
Yep.
Okay.
We do pretty much anything.
Anything? Okay.
Yep.
And
Go
without
ahead.
revealing any, information about a client, what was the most memorable?
Actually, from our live stream, we have a client that's actually a team member up in Menominee. I believe I wasn't part of this episode, but I came back for the live stream. It was Elemental, my dear, and basically there was some things going on in the house there. They're having issues. Team came out a couple of times prior to me joining. And then this past Halloween, we decided that that's where we're going to do our big live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd seen the house once before. After one of our conventions, I had helped them move some stuff back to the house. And I was drawn to it. It's like, man, I really want to investigate this place. And I got my chance this past Halloween weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very unique. I had one spot down in the basement where I was. I swore I would have been standing in a portal. I felt like a whirlwind around me. And, here to find out it wasn't. It was just the spirits there were swarming around me, checking me out versus being in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very unique. And then after the live stream ended, we stayed and investigated. And all this stuff probably become an episode, but we had some really cool things pop up and really present themselves afterwards. Mm-hmm. And being part of that, it gave me a lot of validation with being a sensitive, because when you hear things or you experience things, you kind of wonder, well, am I crazy? Is this, legit? And, I'd say something and all of a sudden, dowsing rods would cross, or the psychics in the room like, yeah, you're on something there. Mm-hmm. And then had a moment with the team lead a couple weeks later, and I was like, man, I really got a lot of validation on that. He goes, yeah, and without you knowing this, we had similar information come out from previous investigations there. So you were right on the ball. Mm-hmm. I was like, it kind of just blew my mind. So,
and talking about psychics and mediums, how do you label, if you want to put a label on it, your spiritual abilities?
I guess basically as sensitive. I relate kind of to an empath. Mm-hmm. I show qualities of mediumship. I'm still studying it, trying to navigate my way through it. I have some really great teachers that work with me. So I don't know, like I said, I just kind of keep it as a sensitive. Mm-hmm. I feel things, I hear things from time to time. And it's not like I'm hearing a voice. It'll be like a thought will pop in my head out of nowhere. And I don't know where the thought came from. But when I voice that, I get validation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because, and I always say one way too during investigations is to let the spirits guide you. If they want you to ask a question, they're going to have it pop into your head.
Yeah. Yep. And kind of funny, I was on one investigation, and, Rez is not a common name, or RezNeck. And we actually had to come across a spirit box. Kind of blew my mind once. We were doing an Estes session, and, Rez is on the trail, or Rez is in the right direction, or something like that. I forgot exactly what it says, but Rez was said. Right. I was like, okay, well, I guess they're acknowledging me here.
They want to reach out to you directly, or they were like, oh crap, he's on the trail, let's get out of here.
Who knows? I have to go back and listen to the EVPs and all the digital recordings from that night to see if I did catch anything. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing, is I'm terrible, but I'll take all the information in, do all my recording, but finding time to sit back and go through it, because when I listen to stuff, I listen 3-4 times in a row just to make sure I didn't miss something, or if I heard it correctly. Mm-hmm. So you're talking hours of sitting here at night trying to listen to it. I just haven't had the time lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I have lots that I need to re-review, because I've actually been down with a knee surgery, which would have been plenty of time to listen to all of it, but but yeah, I get that, because what I'll do is I'll go through it first, and I'll just jot down times and listen to the whole thing at first, and then I'll go back and review the times.
Yep, I've tried that, but having the time to go back and re-review is the hard part. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I found it's easiest for me to, if I hear something, play it over and over again, get the exact timing down, and write down what I think I hear, mm-hmm. and then take it from there.
Yep. And what's the most memorable EVP you've captured?
I was out on a client's deal, and I had one tell me wait, just out of nowhere, mm-hmm. and it was kind of like almost like they're speaking underwater. But I wish I could elaborate more, but I can't, because it's going to be a future episode. I can't talk about anything that hasn't aired yet.
No,
so no spoilers.
Oh, come on. No, just kidding. and that actually reminds me, one EVP that we captured is, just to set the scene up a little bit, is we had our digital voice recorders on a display box that was at least 6 feet away from any investigator. I wish we had a video recording to prove it, because everyone says that this was our stomach growling.
Okay.
But we captured an EVP, and my son describes it as sounding like what a pterodactyl would have sounded like. It was kind of a squawking dinosaur type growl.
Interesting.
So what are your thoughts on, I guess, spirit animals, in the aspect of animals coming back as ghosts, and why don't we see dinosaur ghosts?
Well, basically, like Einstein said, you cannot destroy energy. It's just transformed. So even us, our animals, they're all, forms of energy. So it makes sense that they would be on the other side too. Mm-hmm. As far as dinosaur ghosts, I don't know. I wouldn't mind running into one. I wouldn't fight it.
As long as it's a spirit, not a...
Hey, I'm crazy.
To a real T-Rex.
Why not? I just got to outrun the guy next to me. That's all.
Exactly. But yeah, these are things that my son comes up with, and it's he definitely offers some unique perspectives in the field. But yeah. Oh yeah,
and we need that. You always got to be open-minded, be willing to think outside the box, because that's how we get advancements.
Exactly. And I know the last episode I had shared, I'm trying to figure out how to word this without sounding snooty to some of the new ones, is we already know certain techniques work.
Yep.
They've been tested for years, over and over and over. It's time to move on and come up with new techniques.
Exactly.
We're never going to move forward if we keep doing the old stuff.
Yeah. You have to move forward. One of the prime examples is one of the first investigations the team took me out to was up at the Hayden Adventure, where Craig Salt had gotten pictures and photos on his trail cams of Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. It's one of the places we do a lot of our research. And I came to Barnaby and I go, hey, I want to try something different. Bigfoot's in our culture. He's in the native lore. I want to go out there and I want to play native drum music. Like he would have heard back then if we were all actually gathering and see if we get anything. And he said, sure, why not? I'm willing to give it a shot. And it's kind of funny is now that since we did this, it hasn't aired yet, but I got permission, I can talk about it. I'm hearing other people are trying this now and getting results. So, thinking outside the box, it may have been a big collective of people thinking the same thing. Mm-hmm. But, we had some cold spots that showed up all of a sudden out of nowhere. And like I mentioned Barnaby, I believe Craig was there with us in spirit, watching over to see what this new guy's doing out on his property. What's this crazy native doing? We played about 5 songs, and I was saying, hey, I'm welcoming you to come, communicate with us. We're not here to hurt you. We just want to communicate, observe you, see what's up, and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And speaking of Bigfoot investigations, do you prepare differently before going out for one of those than you would a regular investigation for paranormal?
Not really. Dress a little bit warmer. Anytime I go in the woods, I lay down tobacco first before I enter. I let them know, hey, I'm not here to disrespect anyone. I'm not here to harm anyone. Like I do with the paranormal, I'm here to observe. Mm-hmm. I'm here to interact. So, but the biggest thing is just making sure I lay the tobacco down before I go in the woods as an offering. Right.
Yeah. And have you ever captured non-Bigfoot evidence of the paranormal when you're doing a Bigfoot investigation?
No, actually, I haven't yet, but you never know. I'll be gone this weekend on a couple of different investigations. One of them I'll be out in the woods, so might be the weekend for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things you never know what's going to happen. And, I always tell people we're not, the spirits aren't there to, act on command. They basically interact with us when they want to.
Yeah, we're on their time.
Right.
They're not on ours.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of irritates me when you see guys out there provoking, because it's not going to get you any further than you were if you just came in and kicked it with them.
Right.
And just chill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All you can do is piss them off. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. The only time I've ever yelled at a spirit was when I've been physically attacked, and I stood up and I treated it like it was a 2-year-old child that did something wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. I'm like, we don't do that. That's not how we treat people.
Right.
And the activity in the home stopped. It was like quiet.
Yeah, you get the father voice out there. Stop it now! I'm done.
Exactly. So, I know you had talked about playing Native American music while you were doing your Bigfoot investigations, but have you guys ever done anything along the lines of, like, if you were investigating a Civil War location, you would dress up in period attire or anything like that?
I know the team, I believe, went to Gettysburg. It was prior to me joining. I don't think they did anything like that, but I'm always down to become a trigger object. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things wanting to do prisons. I got a few things up my sleeve, so you never know what we might see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know things like, the drum music. I know one person says they go to a location and they play jazz music because it was a former jazz club, and they get a lot of activity to lighten.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. You're giving them what they used to experience. Mm-hmm. You're connecting with them on the level that they might still be at.
Right. Exactly. And shoot, my question just went in and out of my head.
I hate when that happens.
Oh, there it is. I know when it comes to like psychics and mediums, you want them to have as little information about where you're investigating as possible. But what are your thoughts? I mean, even though I consider myself a sensitive, I want to know the history. I want to.
I like to dig into the history and all the information after I've gone. I don't want any preconceived notions of what I might run into, what it is. Sometimes that's hard when you go back and you go to the same locations more than once.
Right.
So it's like, I know we have a tour coming up this Sunday over at Bean Snappers, and this will be the second time I've been in there. with the team. The first time I went in was when we did our CAPS Academy meeting, and it really wasn't an investigation. It was basically, meet the team, see if you're a good fit for the team, and kind of listen to the history of the building.
Right.
And I had experiences there, like I mentioned earlier. And now I'm going back. A part of me already knows what I experienced last time, so I'm curious on what I'm going to experience this time. So it kind of changes the outlook on the way you attack this and tackle the investigation.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I'm a history fan anyway. So I've always wanted to, and it helps me guide my questions.
Yep.
And one example that I use, I mean, because it's like, I don't think the entire team needs to go in fully researched on the property, but it's good to have one person, because we were doing an investigation and the location turned out to be it was one of the first Mormon settlements in the Vegas area.
Yep.
And we were doing an investigation, and one of the girls asked, "Who's the president?" And over the spirit box, we got Jeff's.
Okay.
And she's like, "No, that's not correct. The current president is X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "Well, wait a minute, because of the research I had done, I'm like, they might be thinking, Rulon Jeff's, if it's a recent spirit, because they're taught that the, person in charge is the president."
Right. There you go.
Having that information helped us then guide the questions after that. And we got a whole bunch of information and stuff after that.
Yeah, we have members of our team that do all the research, the historical research ahead of time. I just personally, I'd rather kind of go on as minimal information as possible. That's just my own personal thing. But like Ma, part of the team, amazing woman. She does a lot of our research. Barb helps out with a lot of it too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. Research goes a long way in being able to guide questions. And Casey wants to know, do you attend sweat lodges?
I've attended a few. I'm a little overdue for one. I have my mentor and my basically one of my teachers up on the reservation that I need to get with him soon and get into a lodge. It's on my to-do list, especially with doing what we do. It's a good thing to do once in a while, kind of get any of the extra energy that's lingering around, kind of get it off, get more in touch with your spirit side.
And if your to-do list is like mine, bump that up to the top of the list, because if that was near the bottom of my list, I'd never get to it.
Eventually I'll get there sometime this summer.
Well, we are coming up on a quick commercial break. It's up to you if you want to stick around, and we can continue talking for another half hour. You good for that? Okay,
sounds good to me.
Okay, well, we'll be back in just a few moments.
All right.
Heard a girl scream down here.
Are you kidding me right now?
I'm listening.
Very well. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us and welcome back to Exploring the Paranormal. I am super excited to be here today, and I'm joined by RezNeck, who's been an amazing guest. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for sticking around after the break. Sometimes I'm lost in my last half hour when the guest has to go.
No, timing works out good. Like I mentioned before, with us being on different time frames, I thought it was going to be a little bit of a time crunch, but heck, this works out better than I planned. So
No problem. And it's funny because when I was deciding on what time to do the show, I know Todd could even back me up on this, that we went back and forth a few times if I was going to start it a little later, a little earlier, because a lot of my guests were supposed to be from the Vegas area, but they're like, oh, that's 7:00 our time. but I like this time slot because it's over with and I can get on with my day.
right. Me, the biggest thing with these morning shows is I'm a night owl by nature. So I work second shift. So getting up early, it's hard. Anyone that's ever known me, I'm not a morning person at all.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you setting that alarm and joining me.
Yep.
Yeah. And I like it too, because there's not a lot of morning shows either. Because I've had some guests that are like, "Ooh, morning show."
Right. It's a good slot. It really is.
Yeah. And I like the format, and I'm having a lot of fun. And I started doing this last year, and it was towards the end of the year, and my knee and everything happened. So I kind of had to put it on hold. But once the first of the year came around, it's been a fun roller coaster ride, and I'm truly excited to be here.
Enjoy it while you can, my dear. That's all you can do.
Exactly.
Live it, enjoy it, and take it where it'll go. Let it lead.
Yep, exactly. And so I wanted to talk about Bigfoot again real quick, just because I find that very interesting. And I don't have a lot of people on my show that talk about Bigfoot. What would you do if you ever encountered one face to face?
Honestly, I would do a little bit of like a submission. Let them know I'm not a threat. Definitely don't smile at them and show teeth. Wrong thing to do. But try to find a way to let them know I'm there in peace and try to interact with them. I would love a Bigfoot encounter, and that's one of the things I actually put out into the universe, that not just Bigfoot, but any of these cryptid creatures. I put out there, if I go on an investigation, hey, I want to see you. I want to interact with you. I mean you no harm. And I think it would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's kind of like the skunk ape here in Florida.
Yeah. He's got many different names. A lot of people believe they're all the same. It's like my employer, he's from Nepal. And over in that area, you have the Yeti. He goes, oh, Bigfoot live over there. I'm like, oh, Bigfoot is here too. He's brown. He's not white.
Right. And that also makes me wonder, is like, why are there so many different versions of it? Even though they're the same kind of entity, they look differently.
Yeah. My biggest theory on that one is they adapt to their environment, just like humans have over the years. He's brown up here because where does he live? He lives in the woods. Right. Over there, he's white. He lives up in the snow-capped mountains. That's camouflage. That's protection for him.
Right. Yeah. My thing is, though, if I was an interdimensional being, if that's what Bigfoot is, I'd, come here to Florida or somewhere warm. I don't know if I would.
Well, you got skunk ape, so he's there.
I know. But that would be my personal choice if I were to come back.
Right. I don't know. I heard it gets pretty humid down there in the summertime.
It does, but it's not too bad. I mean, we moved from Florida to Vegas, and we loved it in Vegas because there was no humidity. But then the 120 degrees in the summer kind of got old.
Yeah, I got to go spend some time with my father-in-law down in Benson, Arizona, and I loved it. It was, the heat was all right, but it was like everyone says, it's a dry heat. And being a smoker and being overweight, I was breathing better down there. And I get up here and it's only 70 degrees. I'm like, holy crap. And I'm sweating and everything. I'm like, man, I forgot what this was like. I was only gone for a few weeks.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I know when we flew in to Florida to visit my parents, they didn't even open up the door to the airplane yet. My son's like, oh my God, it's humid already.
Yeah.
But yeah, we packed the truck. It was September and it was 120 degrees in Vegas. And when we got here, it was like in the low 80s. It was so nice.
Nice.
It was nice. Definitely glad to be back home.
Yeah. Hey, you got to be where you're happy.
Exactly. So can you share on any events or any things that you have planned coming up soon?
Yeah, actually, coming up this summer, we have a convention coming up in Marionette. It's the Marionette Menominee, Bigfoot, and Paranormal Convention. That would be June 9th and 10th. I believe it's at the Best Western in Marionette. And if people are wanting to come out and meet the team or see some of the amazing speakers we have, they can go right on to the CAPS website, wisconsincaps.com. There should be links that lead you there. Or check out Wisconsin Caps on Facebook. I believe we're on all the social medias out there. And Wisconsin Caps, that's Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies and Paranormal Society, for those that don't know. And then this weekend, we're actually having something for Valentine's Day, Bean Snappers Paranormal Tour. You can get tickets right off our website that way. And most of the team's going to be there. If not all of us. I'm not sure how many are for sure coming. I know I'll be there for sure because that's right down the road from where I live. So, and like I mentioned before, I'm looking forward to going back. And this site, it's a historical site. It was built back in 1877. So there's a lot of history there. Yeah. So that's on February 12th. We're running a special, buy one, get one half off, for the Valentine's Day. So those that are into the paranormal, couples that are into it together and they're in the area, hey, come out, meet us, do an investigation. It's for not only the experienced investigator, but also those that want to kind of dabble or be a tourist, like you said. Ones that want to get out and see what it's all about. If you have your own equipment, bring your equipment. If you don't, we have equipment on site.
Yeah, that's
so.
Cool.
Yeah. Other than that, the only other thing that I'm thinking about going to personally this year would be the MI Paracon. Went there last year, had a blast, and I think I want to go back this year.
Yep. Yeah. There's several conventions on my list this year, so I'm just I've been holding off, waiting for my doctor to tell me I can travel. But I've gotten that clearance now, and I'm looking forward to what this year has to offer. I've been telling people this year is going to be amazing for the field.
Yeah. I really want to get out and hit the convention scene, but having time, that's the big thing. So I got to choose wisely.
Exactly. Pick and choose, and it's one of those, just go with it. Because once you choose, it's, you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck with it, but, and that's why I always tell people to research your conventions that you're going to before you go, because like the one that they held in Vegas 2 years ago, that was a disaster.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard about it, but they didn't pay their talent and they had big names there. Yeah.
Oh, not good. Not good.
Yeah. So it's yeah. But hopefully because Vegas, it's a lot of people showed up for the event.
Right. You'd think that'd be a huge event, huge turnout.
Yeah. And it's like the perfect place to host it. So hopefully someone comes up with something out there again, because I want to get back out there, especially with the books I've written about Vegas.
Yeah.
It's the perfect venue for me.
Perfect place for you. Yeah. Me, I've never been to Vegas. It's on my bucket list. And I think that'd be a pretty awesome reason to go.
Right. Exactly. And I think it was held at the MGM Grand, and that's a beautiful hotel. But it occurred the December after we moved. Otherwise, I would have gone. Yeah,
moving kind of takes a lot out of you. Physically and financially.
Right. So I like, again, oh my goodness. If you saw what's in my head goes 100 miles an hour.
I suffer from that too. Don't worry about it. Especially when I lay down at night, trying to get this thing to shut off. It's impossible.
No, it doesn't happen. Usually a glass of wine helps me with that. But speaking of joining teams, I know I talked about that earlier, but do you have any recommendations for someone new to the field looking to either find a mentor or find a team to join?
Do your research on the team that you're looking at joining. Don't go it alone. Look at the reputability of the team. Look, see what they've done, what they've researched, how many years they've been doing it, and make sure it's someone you can trust, because you have to have your team's back as much as they have yours. Something definitely could go wrong, and if your team don't know how to handle it, you're up shit's creek. So that's the biggest thing. Do your research.
Mhm.
Don't just jump on board with the first team that you find. Look for those that have been doing it for a while. And then if you know anybody that is currently on a team, talk to them. Learn more about it before you decide to go full-fledged into this.
Yep, exactly. And just because they have the brightest website and all the fancy gadgets on their website and a YouTube channel doesn't mean that they're the team to go to.
Exactly.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's don't judge it just by that.
Exactly. Dig into it. Meet them. Don't just go say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I want to join your team. Meet them, get to know them, see if they're a good fit for you. Not all personalities meld together. So, it's hard. With me, like I said before, I've known Barnaby and the crew for a lot of years. Used to be a scare actor from time to time for Barnaby back when he had his haunted houses. So I already had that trust and built up with him. If I wouldn't have known him personally like that, I can't say I would have joined CAPS for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When I said I wanted to go look for a team, that was the biggest thing that, all right, I know him. I know he's legit. I know he's not going to BS me. I know, he's scientifically minded, and that, all them things come into play.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I know when the team I was on in Vegas, when it started slowly falling apart, I had left the team as well and created my own paranormal investigation team, and it was my husband and my son. And I always joke with people, it's like I'm keeping it small because I know I train them and they do it right.
Exactly.
And I know we already get along.
Yeah, at least for the most part, right?
Right, exactly.
We know how families can get.
Yeah, most of the time. No. My son's sitting here next to me listening in.
Is he rolling his eyes yet?
No, I think he's falling back asleep.
All right.
He's smiling and shaking his head at me.
All right.
So when it comes to, and again, it's just like gone. When you do your events,
yep.
How do you, I know, you open them up to anybody coming, which is the whole point of training and educating people about the paranormal field, but are there any specific, I don't want to really say rules, but guidelines that you offer to help people get the most out of their tours?
Be respectful. No provoking. Don't be a jackass. Realize these are real human beings that once were on the plane with us. So show them respect. Keep it real. Keep it honest. And don't be like some of the jokers on TV that all of a sudden hear something or see something and then they take running out the door. You're putting yourself in harm that way and those around you.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Have you ever had anyone just take off running?
No, haven't. I'm waiting for that one moment where I get that scared and I want to run. That's kind of, I'm waiting to see if that ever happens. Because, like I said, there's nothing to fear except for fear itself. But when you put me in a predicament where I get scared, there's some really messed up stuff going on there.
Yeah, you know something's wrong when the paranormal researchers who do this for a living get scared. Yeah. So one other thing that I wanted to bring up, I usually ask this of most of my investigators that I talk to on the show, is I know people always laugh when I say this, but what are your thoughts on orbs? Because you might have a different perspective, being that you have a different background than a lot of people I've interviewed.
I believe in them, but not everything they show is always an orb.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff I look at and I go, really, that looks like dust. Come on now. Or I'll see something, I go, that's got to be something, or a fraction off a camera. I'm analyzing it. Mm-hmm. But I totally believe in orbs as being energy. Could be possibly future manifestations. It's that ball of energy is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I've seen them go through the fields up on the reservation before, and you see something out there, a light just shooting through a field, but there's no cars around, there's no people around, there's no one with a flashlight. Mm-hmm. So that's all you can say is, that's interesting. And it's unidentifiable, it's small, it's got to be an orb at that point in time, because there's nothing else I could classify it as.
Right.
If I can find a way to classify it and debunk it believe me, I will.
Mhm.
But if it leaves me scratching my head, then we got to start looking at it being paranormal.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I always 9 times out of 10 when I'm shown a photo, I'll dismiss it automatically just because there are a lot of explanations as far as photography.
Yep.
But if it's something I've seen with my own eyes, then it's like, okay, well, you can't really dismiss that as a bug.
Right. You know, you see it with your own eyes, it's a totally different deal.
Exactly.
You know, so you just got to learn to trust yourself and basically pay attention.
Mhm.
You know, don't take everything you see as being 100% legit.
Mhm.
And that's me telling you guys out there that's listening to this, you know, use your brain. We have one.
Right.
Just because someone says this is this doesn't mean it is. You know.
And I know earlier we talked briefly about interdimensional beings and UFOs, but what are your thoughts? Do you do any research into UFO activity?
We actually did for a season for Caps. That's going to be released here in the future. We actually, down the road from my house, my wife heard of someone who's possibly seeing a UFO. And so I've been kind of watching the skies in my area lately for the last few weeks, kind of saying, let's see if anything, happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people say that, well, if you think about it and you kind of let them know you're there and you want to have contact with them, you can draw them in and stuff like that. So I've tried some of them techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing yet, the one time I did think I had something within the past week or so, I believe it was that balloon that was floating across the country.
Yep.
Because for a few nights in a row, I'd leave work and I get on the back roads and there's this glowing thing up in the sky and it kind of seems like it's hovering and, not really putting off any light other than just white light. And I'm like, well, it's not a plane. It's not a freaking satellite. And then, well, maybe it's a planet, maybe it's a star, who knows? But then all of a sudden, after we hear about, this balloon being in the sky and them shooting it down, I haven't seen it since. So it makes me wonder if that's what I was kind of seeing floating across.
Right. And that's the important thing about doing everything you can to come up with a reasonable explanation before, writing anything off as, paranormal or UFO or anything along those lines.
Yeah, you have to do your research. Look at all the avenues. Don't always take it at face value.
Mm-hmm.
The videos I have on my phone, I could very easily throw up on TikTok or Facebook. Say, hey, look, I got a UFO, but it's not.
Right. the ones that want paranormal activity so bad,
that
they'll do anything to throw it up there.
Yeah, no, I don't post anything unless I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, maybe a stupid meme here and there just to get a good wisecrack. But other than that, any kind of information I put out there with the best of intentions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And that's what I like about interviewing people is you get to meet so many different people and they all have the same, ideas. Like you said, sharing stuff that is true and that you've researched and you're just out there. Oh, that looks interesting, and hitting share.
Yeah.
So we still have a few minutes left. Real quick, one other topic I wanted to bring up was, what are your thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch?
A lot of crazy shit down there. I've watched quite a few of the episodes. I know Barnaby had a chance to go down in the area and check that out. I honestly would like to go check it out myself and see what I really can see, feel, or hear, or experience down there. Far as what I've seen on TV, kind of mind-boggling. Because not only you have that one, but then you have another ranch had a show that's over in that area too. I think it was some kind of frog ranch or something like that. And before I could even think about making a honest, legit comment on that, I'd have to go experience some of these things myself.
Right.
So that's something I'd like to do.
Yeah. I've watched that show, and it's like I keep saying, whenever they do an experiment, it's like, well, no, you need to do this too.
Yeah, try to debunk it. Right. Try to show, okay, you're trying to figure out what it is. Great. but let's figure out what it's not also.
Right.
Is the biggest thing.
Yep. Yeah. And I like how they take it that extra step to try to figure out what it could be, but they never finish. I always feel like the what it could be is left hanging. But that's
joys of television. Remember, them shows are there for entertainment.
Right.
Exactly. We can take bits and pieces of it and ponder on it, or even use it as you research as we start finding more information about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line, it's entertainment.
Yep. Yeah. Even the documentaries that we were in, it's like there's still some creative liberties that the documentary team took, but it's they were very good. But just like we did one thing I always talk about is we did a dowsing rod session.
Okay.
And we got no responses whatsoever. But during a montage of just a whole bunch of videos that they were playing back to back during one of the sections of the documentary, they had me showing how the dowsing rods should move. So you see me there holding the dowsing rods with my thumb, moving them. And it's obvious. It wasn't one of those things where it's like I was trying to hide the fact that I was moving it. They said, "Hey, how do dowsing rods work?" And I'm like, "Oh, they open and they close."
Right.
And of course, that's the part that they took to put in the documentary.
That's one thing. Anytime anyone busts out dowsing rods, I'm watching their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if I got my camera on me, that's my center focus because I'm looking to debunk it.
Yep.
So.
But it was just so funny. It's like we got no responses with the dowsing rods through the entire investigation, but that's the part they chose to show.
Yeah.
At least they didn't have me ask a question and then show me do that.
Right. I would have been.
That they played one after another.
I'd have been upset. If they would have pulled something like that, I'd been on the phone. Hey, guys, we got issues here. Right. You're going to make a public apology or something.
Right.
You're going to make this right because you're damaging my credibility.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we all work so hard for that too. So
right. Yeah. But other than that, they were great, and I get why they put it in there because they needed to fill space. But it was like any video but that.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to coming to the end. Was there anything else that you wanted to share that we might have overlooked?
No, I think we kind of hit a bunch of the different things that I wanted to talk about, and hopefully I was able to answer any of the questions you had come up that you were thinking about.
I think so. It's like I said, I start off with a short list of questions, and then I just let the conversation take us wherever we end up going.
Yeah, I was kind of curious how you're going to do it because, some places, say, hey, well, we want to talk about this, or we want to talk about that. Very few kind of say, hey, come on my show and we'll figure it out as we go, which that's what I like.
Right.
Because it's genuine that way.
Right. And even when because I talk for 30 minutes before the guest usually comes on. And I joked with Todd last week that half the time I don't even have a script for that. I just, I'll just start talking and whatever comes to mind, I'll pick a topic and I'll just start talking.
Yeah. That's kind of how I go.
Mm-hmm.
And
I also like to, I know it's morning and not a lot of people are up yet and watching, but I do like to let the audience also kind of guide the questions because I want to talk about what they want to hear.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. If you don't cater to your audience, you're going to lose them.
Right, exactly.
And that they're the ones that actually are our supporters, our fans, those that, we needed to be there for.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So before we go, can you just remind everybody where they can find you and your team?
Yep, WisconsinCaps.com is our website. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media I believe we're on. Punch it in. Just remember, it's, jump on there, see if there's anything on our website, meet our team. We have all our team members on there, their bios, the different events that we should be going to this year. And, hey, check us out. We can also find us on YouTube. We have our own channel, Wisconsin Caps on YouTube.
Perfect. Sounds good. And again, thank you for joining us. I'm super excited to have you on here. And if any of your members ever want to join, just let them send me a message. And I usually have spots open. I'm still booking. I think I'm in May now.
Okay. Hey,
because I read some of the bios and they all look very interesting.
Yep. Hey, I'd say if you want to talk Bigfoot, Canola Barnaby.
Okay.
He's over on the Monday mornings Monster Show. Mm-hmm. The guy is a wealth of knowledge. He's phenomenal. He was not only a great team leader, but when it comes to them cryptids, he's on it.
Okay, definitely have to reach out to him and get him on here.
Yep.
So perfect. Thank you again for joining.
All right.
Had such a great time. Look forward to talking to you again in the future.
I look forward to
hopefully
it.
I can get up to your area and do some investigations with you guys.
I'd love it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All
And
right,
everybody,
have a good-
thank you. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, have a great day, everyone.
You too. And thank you everybody for joining us. I know we're cutting it just a few minutes short, but I wanted to take a moment to thank my sponsor. You guys heard me mention it earlier, Omni Interactions. It is the company where you can set your own schedule and work from home. It is an amazing company to work for, perfect for paranormal investigators because you guys want to have time to go do your investigations and not have to worry about calling in sick to work or taking vacation time. You can schedule your own schedule with Omni Interactions. To learn more, visit gig.life/paranormal, or you can check out tomorrow. I will have more information up on my website under heatherleighphd.com. And then there's an Exploring the Paranormal tab where you'll have all the links to access them from there. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. Big shout out to RezNeck and his team Caps that he's a part of. Super great guy, super great team. If you're looking for a team to learn from, definitely check out their website, their Facebook, and their YouTube channel. And if you're up in their area, definitely go to one of their events. I'm almost wishing I was still living up that way so I can get to one of the events that they have. So again, thank you. And thank you, Todd, for working so hard behind the scenes. And we will see you guys next week. I have my guest is Stephanie Elgady. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. I butcher her name every time. She is an amazing person. Have done several presentations with her, talked to her, investigations, not on an investigation, but we've interviewed clients together, and just an amazing person. She's from Georgia Paranormal Investigations, and I'm looking forward to having her join me next week. So again, thank you guys for watching Exploring the Paranormal. You can catch the show on WLTK Radio, or DB Radio. You could also follow me on Exploring the Paranormal Show on Facebook, or Dr. Heather Leigh on Facebook as well. Thank you guys, and we will see you next week.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.